We would like to acknowledge the Yuggera people and the Turrbal people as the traditional custodians of Meanjin, the lands on which we record this podcast today. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Health of It podcast, a podcast made for healthcare professionals by a nurse on the inside. So my name is Jess Tully and I'm the brand ambassador of Healthcare Australia, but I'm also a registered nurse myself. Now today I got to interview a fellow HCA Team Purple nurse who has done not only metro work across a few states within Australia, but has also dived deep into the world of travel nursing. Now, her name is Laura, and I've actually been so blessed to meet Laura in person, and I've actually worked with her in Brisbane. We can't figure out where it was, but I think you can agree that agency nursing and just nursing in general can be such a small world sometimes, and you can see people's faces and you're like, I've definitely worked with you. I don't know where, I don't know when, but we have definitely met. And that's exactly how me and Laura have met recently. We're just like, we know each other. We can't figure out where it is in Brisbane. We've definitely crossed paths. Now, we talk so much about the journey of travel nursing, the awesome experiences that you get while doing this kind of path, and just how much personal growth you can have. So I'm not going to ramble on too much because I want you to listen to this podcast. You're going to be so inspired. You're going to be so fired up to sign a contract. I guarantee you this. I want to do a contract right now after talking about to Laura. Like, she's gotten me so excited. And thankfully, I am going on a contract to Northern Territory soon. So I've got that to look forward to. So just remember, HCA, Healthcare Australia, we do travel nursing contracts all around Australia in every single state. So if you want to dive deep with us and explore this incredible world, then jump online and apply now. Or if you want to ask any questions, I've got a Jess Tully Facebook page, or I can reply to you on the Healthcare Australia Instagram or Facebook. We have TikTok, we've got Snapchat, we've got everything. So there are so many ways for you to communicate with us. So get online, ask away, but tune into this episode because you're going to be so excited. Trust me. All right. Bye, guys. A huge welcome on For the Health of It podcast to Laura. Welcome, Laura.
Hey, Jess. Thanks for having me.
So stoked to have you today. Another fellow travel nurse. I actually met Laura in the office like a few weeks ago, actually, and we got along so well. We've actually worked together in Brisbane. We've definitely crossed paths before in the metro.
So strange.
Yeah, I know, in the metro nursing world, but it is a small world. Don't you agree?
100%. Yeah, I always have these moments.
Yeah, all the time. And you can even like go interstate to like a different area and then you'll bump into another nurse and you're like, I've worked with you.
I know your face. Where is it? Let's go through like all the saucy details of how we know each other.
Yep. It's so fun. I love it. So you mentioned to me before that you started working in Sydney with Healthcare Australia. What type of work were you doing with us?
I was just doing a lot of metro, like emergency, working across all the different areas. It's like great like that because you can work in your field or you can work across, medical, surgical, oncology, anything that you like and get a lot of experience. So I was just doing that across a few hospitals down there.
So good. And you also did some of our COVID projects as well, hey?
Yeah, COVID hotel quarantine, COVID testing.
So good.
Pretty much everything.
Everyone loved when those came out, but unfortunately they are done and dusted. But such good.
The hotel days are over.
The hotel days are over. That's so good. So you're emergency nurse trained?
Yeah, that's my background. Did my postgrad in emergency nursing.
Perfect. So you do emergency shifts, but then you also do like medical, surgical, kind of just float around and just get whatever shift you can get, right?
Yeah, anything and everything.
Yeah, that's the best thing. And you get to learn so much as well. How was your experience, I guess, when you were in Sydney and you did your very first HCA like shift? Like, what was the feelings of doing that? You know how like you get your alert on your phone and it's like, you've been confirmed for your first shift. How did you feel with that?
It's kind of cool. I like the app. It's actually pretty great because you can like allocate yourself to any shifts. It's very flexible and that worked really well because I was studying at the time and I could just work around and be like, I feel like working today. I don't feel like working tomorrow. And all the shifts came through. You can accept, decline, all those sorts of things. So
design your life. I love designing your life.
Design your life around it.
So good. I always like get the shift and then I'm like, okay, how do I get there? What do I do? What do I pack? Like, how's your feeling going to a brand new facility? Because once you've been to a facility, like the nerves go down so much once you go back there again, because you're like, oh, I've already been here, it's fine. But how do you deal with the nerves of like going to a very first shift?
I definitely have to do like a lot of preparation of like, kind of like you said, like how do I get there? What time do I need to leave? It's also probably an ADHD thing of like timing everything out and making sure I get there on time. But I don't know. Yeah, the first time going in, I remember starting sort of doing agency, casual nursing and just being like, oh, it's a whole new world, like rocking up. You don't know the hospital, the people, like sometimes the policies and procedures are different in different states. And it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think, it's pretty exciting as well because you can learn so much so quickly doing that kind of nursing.
Absolutely. And I feel like when you finish your shift, like you have this really like, you're kind of like really proud of yourself. You're like, I went in, I didn't know anybody, I've never worked here before, I had a good shift, I really helped out the facility and I did it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I always feel super
it's a really
proud.
nice feeling.
Yeah, I agree. So talk me through a kind of like what made you make the decision to do the travel nursing path? Because it's quite a big decision to make. A lot of people like staying in their little bubble, like they like staying in Sydney and kind of just working around. But to take the plunge and actually, sign a, 4, 6 or 8 week contract away from all your friends and family is a big decision. What was going on in your world that made you make that decision?
It's funny because I hear this is the classic way to enter travel nursing. It's a breakup. And I'd moved down. I'm actually from Queensland. So I'd moved down to Sydney with my partner at the time. She'd gotten her first paramedic job. And apparently if you leave the place that you're in and move to another place, your issues don't resolve. It's quite shocking to me, but they follow you. Incredible, right? We ended up, so I'd moved down with my partner at the time and we'd broken up. I'd moved back up to Queensland and rather than shaving my head and getting on the next plane, I decided the next best thing was travel nursing. So I called up HCA. I had a friend who'd worked in Bamaga up in the north of Queensland, and she just raved about the work up there, travel nursing, HCA. So I gave HCA a call and I had like a really great first consultant who talked me through everything. I think within a couple of weeks, I was down in the Snowy Mountains on my first contract and it was incredible.
So amazing. I think a lot of people as well, like, so you've gone from New South Wales to Queensland. It's so easy to move with HCA to different states. So you just call up HCA when you get to Queensland. You're like, hey, can I just do some shifts while I'm here? And they'll activate you, which is sweet. But then I think a lot of people think when you then want to bounce to travel nursing, that it's like, I mean, we are all linked and we're under the same umbrella, but there is a lot more documentation that's involved because you're needing extra serology requirements and vaccination requirements and compliance checks. So some people message us and they're like on a Thursday and they're like, I want to start on Monday. But realistically, for people listening to the podcast, it does take the consultants a couple of weeks at least to kind of gather everything and sort out contracts. So be mindful of that. If you're listening to this and you want to enter the travel nursing world, give yourself a good month of like getting prepped and applying and doing all that, because it doesn't happen overnight at all. So did you get pulled towards the Snowy Mountains for any reason, or did you just kind of get offered a contract and you just took it wherever?
I think I was talking to my consultant and I mean, there's so many opportunities all over Australia and it was entering winter time. I already wanted to go snowboarding. So there was quite a few areas around there that opened up and I just thought just said, please put me to like the closest area to the snow. And somehow it worked out.
That is so good. And how long was your first contract? How long did you originally sign for?
I signed for a month. I think usually that's about the minimum 4 to 6 weeks. And like going in fresh into travel nursing, I thought I'll do a month. I'll see if I like it. I had, a bit of hesitation and anxiety about it for the first time leaving Metro in a tertiary hospital. And I signed up for, I think 4 weeks and I stayed for 4 months.
I love that. And that's what happens to so many people. They always do like a baby step and they go like, oh, just do 4 weeks to test out the waters. And then next minute they're there for like 6 months because they have the best time. Yeah, basically they live there. And then you actually mentioned that you have a friend who actually met a partner there and is now completely relocated there, which is incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. So my consultant sort of talked me through all the processes of going down, made me feel really comfortable, sort of leaving the metro world, the one hospital that I'd worked in, and all of like sort of, the tertiary support that you get, and was like, you're going to be okay. Like, talked me through all the processes. And she sneakily knew that she was also sending another girl from a different state who'd come out of a breakup. So we rocked up to the same place together, a little bit dusty, both of us, from our relationships. And and it ended up, like, I remember talking to her later and just saying, you actually changed the course of our lives sending us there. She ended up meeting her life partner. She has a baby, lives in the area now. And yeah, I met some of like my closest lifelong friends, and was able to like later on, leave my relationship and everything. So it was really great.
It's so good. And this happens like all the time. I hear these stories constantly where it honestly changes your entire life on such a positive level, making the plunge to do something like this. So I could not agree more. And I know so many people as well that have met their life partners and they're like settling down there, or they're traveling the world with that person or whatever. And I mean, I still haven't met mine yet. I'm still trying, but it happens to people. Yeah, maybe the next contract, who knows?
Yeah.
But like, it absolutely is possible. But yeah, there's usually something that kind of shakes up your personal life to make you want to make the plunge, whether it's separation or a divorce, or some other kind of life factor, maybe work, you're just extremely burnt out, or like something dramatic's happened at work and you're just like, I need to get out of here. It's the perfect time to do travel nursing, honestly. So good. I can't believe 100%. You lasted 4 months as well in the snow. So I guess, how was your experience getting there? Did you drive or did you fly?
Yeah, I ended up driving. So I drove, I think at the time I was around the Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, and I just packed up my life and drove down, and yeah, it was amazing. So we rocked up, and there was and HCA obviously covers like your travel depending on the length of contracts and things, so they covered all my travel driving down, and my accommodation was covered when I was there. So I rocked up to the hospital. We had the orientation day, and I think we had buddy shifts as well. They'd opened up a COVID emergency department, and there was sort of 8 to 10 agency nurses there, and we all got put up in these really cute sort of solo contained cabins really close to the snow. It was amazing.
That is so good. So good. So were you nervous obviously on your first day, or were you feeling pretty excited?
I was nervous. I think I was probably more nervous than excited, and that just quickly turned into just being very excited and stoked, and exploring a new area. It was really good. We were really well supported, sort of from HCA side as well as the hospital, and there was like a really good, induction process.
So good. I think a lot of people always have this fear of like, what if I don't make any friends, or like, what if people don't like me? And it's just that typical anxiety feeling, right? Of like entering a brand new space and getting out of your comfort zone. But like, I guess, how was your interactions, and especially how was your interactions with brand new agency staff that you met? Because I feel like it's such a positive experience. It doesn't matter what agency they are. Okay, I'm not saying it's just HCA staff. It's like every agency nurse that you meet, they just instantly welcome you into the community. They're just like, hello, let me show 100%. You the ropes. I'll take you in. You're a part of the family now.
Yeah, we had such a broad like range of ages and backgrounds of people that came on my first contract and like on my contract since. It's a really incredible group of people, agency nurses. Like for whatever reason, they've come into it and realized, like either it's an incredible way to travel Australia, to see new places that you haven't been to before, like the lifestyle is really flexible, whatever's brought them in. And everyone's very welcoming, very supportive. Sort of the older nurses are very, very much like, come under my wing, I'll support you, I'll show you the ropes, like this is how it is. And the whole process is really well supported.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've definitely made like some of my best and lifelong friends through agency nursing.
Yeah, I could not agree more, because all my lifelong friends, honestly, I met during these contracts as well. I feel like the friendship, like, you could meet somebody out in your normal regular town and you could make friends and be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, we're friends. But when you meet an agency nurse, it's like your friendship escalates times 1,000. Yeah. And it's just because you're both doing something that's fully out of your comfort zones, and you're just in this different world, and you just have like such an intense, awesome friendship from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's no barriers. You're like, all right, tell me everything about you. I'll tell you everything about me. let's go see everything in this area and do everything together. It's really great.
Yeah, it's so good. So I guess you're obviously full-time working, and this was during COVID times too, so obviously really slammed with the workload. What did you do on your days off? Because it sounds pretty epic what you did on your days off.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We did, well, there was a lot of snowboarding, just like, generally the snow was about an hour away. So like on our days off, we get groups of nurses and doctors together and drive up, have like a full day boarding and come back down. There was a lot of waterfalls. There was incredible wineries in the area. What else? I think one of the best days off, we had some of the nurses and doctors, we all backcountry skied up close to the top of Mount Kosciuszko. We cooked up snags on bread in the snow, and then boarded all the way back down. That was really incredible. And just everyday sort of explorations around the area. It's so beautiful down there.
It's so good. And I love just like when you look at your roster and you're like, hey, day off, I've got a day off on Friday. What adventure do I want to do? Like, you don't want to just sit at home, right? I know sometimes if you're feeling exhausted as a nurse, it's okay to have those R&R rest days, but you get so excited that you don't want to have an R&R rest day because you're just like, why would I want to sit and rest when I could be snowboarding an hour away? Like, that is way too fun.
100%.
You don't want to miss out opportunities like that. Everyone always says to me, they're like, how did you do so much on your contract? Like, it looks like a holiday when I go on a contract. People don't realize that I'm also busting out, 40 to 45 hours minimum per week working. But I'm so excited on my days off to explore that I do so much in that 1 month or 6 week period that I'm on a contract that people are like, wait, did you actually work?
Yeah, I get asked about the nursing stories down there and I'm like, I don't remember any of them. All I remember is just snowboarding and us having bonfires at the camps, like the cabin site. All of the little animals that they'd taken in from the fires at the time, we got to go feed them in the park and everything. It was really beautiful.
That's
so I don't
sweet.
really remember. I don't remember a lot of the nursing. I left work on the day and then it was a day off. So, and
I think that's really awesome as well that you can actually leave work and leave work at work. You're not bringing it home, and I think that's what some people. I guess when you're in a full-time role, sometimes you do bring the workload home because it's just a part of your everyday life, and you got stresses and stuff. But when you're agency, you just go, you do your shift, you do your best, you take care of your patients, and then you just go home, and then you just adventure, right? You can leave it, and it doesn't matter if there's, I guess, like, office politics, or if there's like drama with colleagues, or if there's this new thing that's come out and everyone's, annoyed about it. You're just like, whatever, I'm just here short term. Like, I'm just here to do my job, do the best I can, and I'm going to go have fun on my days off.
Yeah, very much so. I feel like it makes you a better nurse as well because you can just focus on caring for your patients and then like having your own R&R days, and you're in a new area, you're experiencing new things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think one of the best parts of travel nursing for me is being a creative. Like, I am meeting new people all the time, going to new places and having new life experiences myself. So I'll take my guitar down and my music production gear and I'll write and do all that songwriting stuff down there. And it's just like so good because everything's fresh and new. So if you're a creative, like, travel nursing is incredible.
Yeah. Actually, I would love for you to chat about this because, now that you've relocated back to Brisbane, you've decided to put your studies first and you're actually full-time studying. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm studying a Bachelor of Music at the moment in music production and songwriting.
It's so great. It's so great that you can follow that passion. It's completely separate to nursing, but you can follow your passion of songwriting and studying, but then you can also do shifts on the side and be able to, look at your workload that week and be like, okay, like, I really need to focus on my studies this week. Maybe on the weekend I'll work, but you have the flexibility of choosing what shifts you want to do.
Yeah, HCA, agency nursing, has been life-changing while studying because, it can be week 1, 4 days a week of work, week 12, 1 to 2 days a week of work, and that's totally possible.
Yeah, so good. Oh, gets me all fired up. I just want to start a contract straight away when I talk about this stuff, hey?
Me too.
I know we were talking in the office the other week and we were just like getting so excited together. I was like, this is just what I do. I just get too excited. I've got a contract in a few weeks though, so I'm prepping for that.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm going to Darwin.
Oh my God. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to go. I haven't done the NT yet.
Hey, why don't you come?
NT. Go on then. 2 for 1 deal.
2 for 1 deal. I'll go speak to my consultant. I'll sort it out. Guys, if you do have friends and you're both nurses, you can actually go as a duo and you can speak to your consultant and actually say, like, this is my bestie, like, sometimes it is going to limit you with where you can go, because sometimes depending on your specialties and what contracts they have available, but you can go together. And if you're very lucky to have a partner that's also a nurse, which is like always the dream with travel nursing, if you've got a partner that's also a nurse, then yeah, you guys are going to kill it. You can just travel anywhere. You're so lucky. So another question I always get asked, and I'd love your advice, is you drove to your contract, which is great because it means you can pack so much stuff. What things did you pack? Because obviously you only had a car, right? So you had to leave some things behind. What are some essentials that you packed?
Oh, well, for me, it's definitely my guitar. That might not be relevant to everyone. As long as that fits in, that's fine. Yeah, I always, before I go, I always check sort of like what season am I going into? So for example, going down to the snow, like I made sure that I packed, you know, like a puffer jacket, enough warm clothes, things for like the different activities that I want to do. So I took down snow gear, skateboards, surfboards when I go on trips that are near the ocean, you know, like swimmers and things like that. I always like to take down like a book to write in, things to keep you entertained, like depending on where you go, whether there is a lot of nature and things to do around, or if there's not, and how you want to spend your time. What else? I like to take down some study materials, like being in emergency, if there's things I want to sort of like quickly brush up on if it's super relevant to the area. All my nursing gear, of course.
Actually, a lot of people do that when they go on a contract. They always have some kind of side study, you know, so you're obviously studying at the moment as well. But I feel like I meet a lot of nurses that are pursuing other study, like kind of material, because they have the time when you're a travel nurse. And it's like, you know, you're working full time, yes, but you've got all this other time that you're free, and they're studying, you know, their certificates in emergency nursing or things like this. And I find that happens a lot.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of my friends do that. Another thing that quite a few of my friends started doing was like bringing something to make the space feel like your own and feel like home. I think that's really important for me. So like whether that's like something that like smells really nice, you know, or like whether it's a picture of like you and your best friend or your family, or your partner, things like that, that sort of make you move into this space and start to feel like, oh, okay, this is mine for this period of time.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I drive to a contract, I always bring my own pillows and blankets and sheets, because I mean, sometimes you get really lucky in the place you go into. Like I just was in Ballina recently in New South Wales doing a contract, and I was staying in like a 5-star place. Like it was like the most bougiest place I've stayed in. I was like, I don't need my pillow and blankie. This one is like 10 times better than my pillow and blankie. So
was it 1,000 thread? Like,
oh, it felt
1,000
like
thread
it.
blankets.
I had the best sleep of my life that month. But I usually bring my pillows and blankies, because sometimes you get to a place and you're like, yeah, there's like no vibe here at all. There's no personality in this room.
You gotta spruce up the color.
Yep. And I've got very bright colored sheets and stuff, so I like do my bedding, and I always bring a nice candle, and I just like put things in that room that it's my vibe, and I take that with me everywhere I go. If you're flying, you definitely get restricted because you've got a baggage allowance, whether it's 13 kilos or 23 kilos. And that is when things can get a little bit trickier. I even bring my own knife, like, because every time I go into the kitchens of different nursing accommodation, their knives are so blunt, because it's just getting agency nurses through constantly. Like no one sits there and like sharpens the knives. And I don't want to buy a knife sharpener, so I actually just bring my own knife set, and it looks so dodgy, but it's so helpful.
On the plane, that's concerning. No.
On the plane, yep, but you got to put it inject in.
True.
But like when I'm driving, I always bring like knife set and like my spices and things like that, because it costs a bomb when you go and you buy all the spices again. It's too much.
I'll often bring down that. Yeah, bring my oil, my salt and pepper, all your spices. Yeah, things like that.
So good.
Good to empty out your fridge before you go to.
Oh, definitely. And then every time an agency nurse leaves a contract, it's like this really fun thing where they're like, who wants all my groceries?
Yes. I've gotten some great stuff and I've given some great stuff. It's incredible. Yeah, that's it. Like the culture is so great down there. You're like, do you want my protein powder? Do you want this? Do you want that? Yeah. And I think as well, like if you're if you're on a placement long enough, like you can sign up for a gym, or sometimes the places you're staying in have gyms and things like that. So yeah.
So much to do. So did you ever feel, I guess, alone or anything when you went on a contract? Because obviously you've shifted your whole life and you're in this new environment. And a lot of people really get scared about being alone. But as we've mentioned, there's always agency nurses usually where you go. So you do make friendships. But I guess there are those places that don't always have heaps of agency, and maybe you are the only agency. But did you ever personally feel alone during those 4 months, or did you ever go through any kind of negative emotions?
No, I don't think I did. I was really lucky. I had an incredible experience. There was 8 to 10 other agency nurses there. In my other contracts, there's been a lot of agency nurses, in some less, but I've never sort of felt alone or had like that feeling of like there's no one here that I can talk to or be supported by. Like, I think it's good to, have your good friends or family that you can also talk to if you have like solid, relationships with them. But no, I've never had sort of that experience, and I wouldn't be too worried going into a contract with that, because I mean, you have core staff, even if you're of different age, like, or like things like that. There's always something that you can connect over, and yeah.
The reason I bring this up is because I get asked this a lot, and they always get really scared that they're gonna feel alone, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever met a travel nurse. Really?
No, I've never spoken to
not
one.
Personally, that has had a negative experience, or that's had, feelings of being really alone or anything like that. Like, I feel like everyone has such positive experiences, and that's why I'm trying to get the message out there to say, guys, like, if that's what's pulling you back, like, don't worry about that. Trust me. Like, you're going to go out there and you're going to blossom. Trust me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, it's that culture of like the other agency nurses, like, everyone's in the same boat, everyone's feeling the same way, having the same concerns, and you come together, and those connections grow really quickly with people because you're in a new place and you want to try new things and explore new areas and things. So
so good.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that at all. And so what other contracts have you done with HCA? So you did Cooma, which was that beautiful area right near the Snowy Mountains.
After that, I did go back to Sydney and did some more COVID work there. And then when I then had the second breakup, and I moved up to these things happen in degrees, and then I moved up to Southeast Queensland, and was really quickly able to move into working in Brisbane, which was great. And I decided then to go on another contract, and the sort of floods, the horrific floods in like northern New South Wales had happened then, so they were sort of screaming out for nurses. So I went down there on a 1-month contract again to Tweed, and I stayed for 6 months.
Really love extending, and that's like another good point as well, is you can always extend. Like, you can start off small just to dip your toes in. But I feel like once you hit the 4-week mark is when you really start feeling comfortable in that place. And then if you're about to leave, you have like such regrets. You're like, I don't want to go now. Like, I really enjoyed being here. So you can message your consultant and say, oh my God, can I please stay? And I can't believe you said 6 months.
I've done that so many times. Yeah.
So good though.
It was great. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah. And so you've gone from Snowy Mountains to like beachside.
Yeah. I was staying like very luckily in a beautiful hotel right at Kirra Rainbow Beach, and surfing, skating, going into the hinterland in northern New South Wales. And once again, there was like incredible, like the core staff at the hospital were incredible, and the agency nurses, there were so many of us, like on our days off we were going and doing all these adventures together, and it was great. So good.
I just want to add as well, so that people listening, like, yes, you can get really lucky and you can get some bougie accommodation, but it's not always like that. So don't think you're gonna.
Yes, I've stayed in caravan parks. I've stayed in cabins. I've stayed in a variety of different places. But it's such a great way to travel and see Australia that I don't think it matters for me personally.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, whatever. There's a bed. There's some place I can make food. I'm fine. I've stayed in dongas, like little dongas with like a little single bed and a little table and a little mini fridge. Like, I've lived in that for months. And I'm just grateful. I don't care. I'm just like, whatever. Sometimes on my days off, I'll go and stay somewhere close by for a weekend, little getaway in an Airbnb and spruce myself up. But I mean, you can get really lucky and get some really luxurious places. But if you're listening to this, don't think you're always going to get that. But if you do get that, absolutely extend to 6 months, because that is awesome.
Extend your contract.
Milk it up. Enjoy every moment.
That's it.
Oh, this is so good. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I think we covered so much for someone that's going to listen to this kind of wanting to enter the world of travel nursing, but they're a little bit on the fence, because this was such an open and honest conversation where you do have such positive experiences, and you also, like, career wise, you have so much growth, but then personally you have so much growth within yourself. And I think it's really hard to find something that not only grows your career but grows yourself at the same time, which is why I'm such a pro. Like, I just love agency nursing so much, which is why I'm obviously the brand ambassador, because I'm so obsessed and into it.
I love that, and I believe the same thing. Yeah, travel nursing is incredible.
Yeah. And I remember when I was talking to the office and I was like, I bleed purple. You see now.
I see it in HD.
Absolutely. It's in my veins. It's in my blood. It's with me forever, but I absolutely love it. So if you guys are on the fence listening to this, just get online. Message me on HCA, Instagram or Facebook. I've got a Jess Tully Facebook page. Message me anytime. And if you've got any questions you want me to ask Laura as well, just let me know, and I can always pass along to Laura too. But thank you so much for joining me today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it too.
Your first podcast, you absolutely smashed it.
I'm going to be a podcaster now, you know it.
Yeah, 100%. It's on the to-do list now.
It's a slippery slope. Thank you, Jess.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And make sure to give us a 5-star review and make sure to share the podcast. Thanks, guys. Bye.